What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks last minute rumors you need to know about this year's TLC pay-per-view. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. And check out Incredible if you can. Number 1. Replacing the ravishing Russian Lana. Arguably the biggest news going into TLC is the status of the Asuka and Lana vs Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler match, which is depressing considering that there are some big matches on the card. But one question going into TLC concerns what the status is for the Women's Tag Team Championship match involving challengers Lana and Asuka. If you tuned into this week's Raw, you saw Women's Tag Team Champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler's brutal post-match attack on Lana, a beatdown which led to Raw's Ravishing Russian working his storyline injury to her elbow and ankle, with WWE apparently taking her out of the title match. Now, there are two schools of thought regarding this situation and who will show up to replace Lana during the match. The first school of thought is that Asuka will battle Jax and Baszler in what amounts to a handicap match, fighting valiantly until the numbers game catches up with her. Fortunately, Lana will show up, and despite being banged up, she'll help Asuka and achieve the final step in her story of redemption, winning the tag team titles and proving she's arrived as a wrestler. If the WWE is serious about pushing Lana as a wrestler as opposed to her previous role as a manager, this is the ideal ending for her story. However, that might not be the WWE's intent, as we'll show next. The second school of thought is that Lana's latest injury is yet another instance of the WWE teasing a push for her, only to pull the carpet right from under her, possibly as further punishment for Lana's husband Miro wrestling in AEW. If so, don't be surprised to see Asuka team up with another partner. Sportskeeda had some interesting picks, including a returning Charlotte Flair or even Asuka's former Kabuki Warriors teammate Kairi Sane. While they also mentioned potential partners like Dana Brooke or Mandy Rose, it would make more sense for Asuka to turn over a title shot to an existing team like Brooke and Rose, rather than the WWE breaking up a team in order for Asuka to have a partner. A match between the team of Brooke and Rose and the tag team champions would be a good means of pushing them, and if they win the titles, defenses against the former champions as well as the new team of Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce. Nevertheless, this is the WWE, so expect the unexpected, and by unaccepted we mean nonsensical, especially in the light of the zero shits they give about the women's tag team division. Number 2. Conspicuous by their absence. The WWE has run less matches on its pandemic-era pay-per-views, so naturally there are less opportunities for superstars to get a pay-per-view spot. Nonetheless, you can see a lot by a wrestler's absence on the pay-per-view. Lars Sullivan, who has been off SmackDown for several weeks now, and Keith Lee, whose name has come up as one of several big men whose wrestling was considered in need of improvement, are two examples of wrestlers who seem to be getting pushes only for things to fall apart. The Lars Sullivan situation is uncertain because there have been no reports or even rumors on Sullivan's whereabouts. Lee's push seems to be on hold as the WWE works to improve his in-ring work and reassess his position in the company. Number 3. Finishing the Fiend. While there are some potentially big matches at TLC, one of the most interesting and possibly most terrifying will be the showdown between Randy Orton and the Fiend. Will Randy Orton find a way to finally defeat the Fiend at TLC? So far, the Viper has been unsuccessful in his obsession with finding a way to eliminate Bray Wyatt from wrestling, whether it's the traditional way of beating him senseless or setting him on fire. It would seem that Randy Orton has no way of defeating the Fiend, and he's far from alone, as the only opponent who has beaten him has been Bill Goldberg. Still, this is Randy Orton, a calculating psychopath who has shown a remarkable way for getting his way. Orton vs The Fiend is too good a program to end after one match, so regardless of who emerges victorious, look for there to be a major angle at TLC that will continue this feud. Something tells us that Randy Orton's character is going to find a way to sink even lower than we've seen before, and considering his track record in 2020, that's pretty frightening. Number 4. A second tag title defense. The WWE seems to have accepted the idea that 6 to 7 matches are a good number during the pandemic. There are no fans in attendance, so don't expect them to add any more matches to the show. While there was talk of the Street Profits defending the SmackDown Tag Team Championship against Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler at the show, it looks like fans can accept this match to happen instead on SmackDown. Dave Meltzer recently discussed this situation on Wrestling Observer Radio, noting, "It's like whenever I talk to someone about doing this match for the pay-per-view, they're like, well, it's listed for the pay-per-view, but what's going to happen half the time, like that Street Profits match with Rude and Ziggler, they're going to come to TV, and they're going to go, what do we got on TV this week? Well, we could put this one on, because they've got no ideas for TV. Based on past experience, fans could easily see the Street Profits defend against Rude and Ziggler, only to have a rematch at TLC. However, we probably don't see that one happening. Number 5. Biggie vs Sami Zayn. One match that fans should be on the lookout for is Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn defending the belt against Biggie. The WWE has been giving Biggie a singles push and seems to be leading things towards a little program against Sami. Zayn is a talented performer and he shows an uncanny ability for putting on excellent matches against larger opponents, not only due to his talent for taking bumps, but his ring generalship where he can set up situations where he can get in hope spots against seemingly unbeatable opponents. If and when Biggie does win the Intercontinental Championship, it could allow him to grow as a singles performer, showcase his ability to work with different types of opponents, and give the blue brand a babyface champion, since Roman Reigns is going to be holding onto that Universal Championship until WrestleMania 37. Number 6. R-Truth crosses paths with Elias. The WWE likes to feature 24/7 matches on its pay-per-views, and let's face it, R-Truth always adds a sense of fun whenever he appears. With the WWE giving Elias a soft reboot in his character, don't be surprised if they give him some time on the show to help define his new persona. One way to do so would be to continue the 14th December Raw where R-Truth interrupted Elias, angering him and his new bodyguard Jackson Ryker. However, they need to be careful because R-Truth's comedy gimmick could hurt any momentum Elias has in his new gimmick. The WWE would be better off having Ryker be the brunt of R-Truth's jokes. Number 7. Wrestler returns. Now, as with any pay-per-view, there's always rumors of injured wrestlers making their return. Here are 3 names that immediately come to mind that have been rumored for a return. Number 1. Jimmy Uso. Although Roman Reigns may think Kevin Owens will be an easy opponent, look for KO to remind the tribal chief why Owens is known for his catchphrase, "Fight Owens, fight." Owens is resilient, and the match's tables, ladders and chair stipulation will allow him to inflict the extra punishment he needs to take out Reigns. However, as Reigns has repeatedly shown, he's not adverse to bringing in help. Look for Jey Uso to get involved in the match, and if that isn't enough, fans could see the long-awaited return of Jey's brother Jimmy. Jimmy may not be cleared to wrestle yet, but he can still swing a crutch. Number 2. Charlotte Flair. Now, the Queen hasn't set a definite return date, but she certainly teased the idea that her arrival could happen at any moment. As previously mentioned, one rumor has it Charlotte could be Asuka's tag partner, which isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. If Flair were to return and win the tag titles with the Empress of Tomorrow, they could go with its favourite storyline of 2 uneasy partners, with Flair eyeing Asuka's Raw Women's Championship, much as Braun Strowman won the Raw Tag Team Championship with Seth Rollins and envied Rollins' Universal Championship. Number 3. Braun Strowman. Speaking of the monster among men, Strowman is another wrestler to expect at TLC, with the big man perhaps interfering in the WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles. Although Braun is serving a storyline suspension, the real reason behind it is for him to deal with his latest knee injury. While fans should see one or more returns, it's highly unlikely the WWE is going to go with a big return such as Edge, instead wanting to save it for a major show such as the Royal Rumble. As for rumoured returns like Andrade, these are likely to happen on regular television, as Andrade's return isn't considered a major event. Sorry, Andrade. And number 8, another holding pattern pay-per-view. With TLC usually finishing the year for the WWE, it's not uncommon for the show to be mostly filler, as they don't want to disrupt the status quo, as the Royal Rumble is where the road to WrestleMania begins. But that doesn't mean that TLC is a waste of time, and this year's show has some potentially good matches, including the Universal Championship defense and the Raw Tag Team Championship defense. But who will come out victorious? Well, be sure to tune into our predictions video, where we list all the winners and losers. But what do you think of these rumors? Is Charlotte Flair going to return? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and check out Incredible if you can, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.